So I've got 3 questions that I want to ask atheists, and these aren't gotcha questions. I sincerely want to know.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they're totes sincere and not at all gotchas. Like, you're not gonna start off by asking a question that seems simple but can be interpreted multiple different ways, right?
First question is, do you believe that God does not exist?
Yeah, could have made money betting on that one. Okay, let's start with the word believe. Do you mean an active belief, or do you just mean having the non-existence of God as part of a worldview because of the null hypothesis? And then there's the question of, what do you mean by God? And this is an iffy one because religious people love to pull a Mott and Bailey with this one. They'll start off talking about their concept of a God, and then as soon as you refute it, they fall back on, oh no, God is just love, or some useless crap like that. So if you're talking specifically about the Judeo-Christian Islamic God, the answer is no. There's really no possibility of that God existing. Just like I don't believe in Zeus or Odin or Baal or Quetzalcoatl. Do I specifically believe that there's no possibility of any such being that someone somewhere might call God? If you're gonna cast that wide a net, then you've just made the question completely meaningless. There are a lot of other objections I could get into as well, like, what do you mean by exist? What's the nature of existence? But really, there's no need to, because it's not up to us atheists to support anything of the sort. Come up with a specific idea of God and we'll take it on. But the fact is, no religious person has ever put forward a good reason for believing in God. Therefore, we don't. Next question.
Next question is, do you believe in evidentialism? Evidentialism is the view that your beliefs ought to be proportioned to the evidence.
That's not quite what evidentialism is, but since you defined it that way, I'll use it that way for the purposes of this video. And phrased the way you do, it sounds like the Bayesian approach would apply. That is what I use. It's really the only one that makes sense and doesn't have a million problems with it. At the end, you're left with a posterior probability. If it's really low, you reject the hypothesis. If it's really high, you accept it. If it's somewhere in the middle, you can say it's unproven or we don't know or whatever. And all of that is provisional, since in the future, evidence may come around that will need to be added to the equation, generating a new posterior. Importantly, all of this presupposes that there is a specific hypothesis. If your hypothesis is the Christian God specifically, then the posterior is so low, it's laughable anyone still believes it. So, once again, we see that he's specifically phrasing the questions so that they can be interpreted in a myriad of ways. In other words, he's setting up gotcha questions, exactly what he said he wasn't going to do. But again, if you're going to ask a question like this, and then, once it's answered, you Mott and Bailey yourself back to God is love or whatever, then you've really made the concept so vague as to be meaningless. So I'm going to turn this around. Do you believe in unicorns, given the fact that there's no evidence for them? I'm guessing you don't, which means you're an evidentialist by your definition in every way except when it comes to your religion. Then you throw it all out the window and insist that it's up to atheists to explain ourselves. Next question.
Those are the first 2 questions.
And now here comes the third, where he springs the trap he tried to set up with the first 2.
You answered yes to both of those. If you have the belief that God does not exist, and you also believe in evidentialism, you're ready for the third question. And the third question is, what is your evidence that justifies your belief that God does not exist?
The absolute, total, and complete failure of all the people who claim that God exists to provide any actual evidence. Come on, it's been millennia! And through the centuries, we see the same crap over and over again. The cosmological argument, the ontological argument, the teleological argument, the argument from design, Pascal's wager, on and on and on. Ideas that have been refuted for centuries, but the believers keep making them without any regard for the refutations. Do you see what people like Cameron are trying to do? This is not about actually discussing things with atheists. This is about asking questions that make it appear he's engaging intellectually when he isn't. And it's not because he cares about what atheists think. This isn't for atheists. This is for his viewers, who are all people who agree with him, so he can make them feel good about their shared belief system that they have no support for whatsoever. If there were any truth to it, what's the probability that believers would have to keep resorting to these crappy arguments and tactics, and making videos like this one trying to shift the burden over to atheists? Answer: so low that no sane person should even consider it. So thanks for watching. Please hit like and subscribe, leave a comment, and go to donate.pagosity.tv to keep me doing what I do. And check out all the great content here, like this video selected just for you.